Hi everybody, and welcome to this very exciting Reddit AMA. My name is Stephanie Wolfe, and I'm joined here with Max Nicholson from Blossom Social. I am the head of marketing at Global X, and I'm super excited to be here today and talk all things investing. We're going to talk about the BetaPro Biggest Winner, and Max is going to tell us some insights about some of the gamings that he did last year with the winning, how he actually won the contest. But Max, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, to clarify, I definitely didn't win the whole contest.
Were close.
I beat the other creators, which I was very proud of.
Yes.
But there were some pretty wild traders, I think, that did way higher returns than I did. So I can't take full credit. But yeah, nice to see you all. Hopefully there's some folks tuning in from the Blossom community. My name's Max. I'm the CEO of Blossom. So I work a lot on obviously building the product, but on my weekends, as many of you folks know, I also write our newsletter, The Weekly Buzz, where I keep you guys up to date on the markets, the market news, the market trends. So I think I'll be drawing more on that knowledge rather than my product building knowledge for this discussion. But yeah, Stephanie, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, this is exciting. So we just want to remind you all, please subscribe. And to ask a question, you actually need to go to the Reddit channel. You can do go.globalx.ca. There is a link below, so you can go there and you can ask your questions. We want to answer them. So let's get started. I'm not sure if there is a question queued up, so first we have a vote in the poll. So you can see the link below we are streaming on YouTube as well. So if you want to go below, you will see it there and answer our first question.
And I think if I recall, because I think I opened it up, it was around where the worst strategies you've seen in the market.
One? Yes.
I think that was it.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, but I guess as people are answering that, I can answer that one from my end because I remember opening it up. I think the worst strategies that I've seen personally in the market is largely just around like following any random like guru online. And I think we were talking about this before we started, like in 2021 and all the bull markets, you always have pop up people who they say they know, buy this, buy that. They claim to know exactly what the markets, and then you have people, they maybe seem like experts because things are very volatile, so some of their picks could go up or could go down. So people just start blindly following those. That to me is like the worst strategy, when you're not actually doing your own research and your own thinking behind the investments you're choosing.
Exactly, and it can be intimidating for first-time investors who are just getting started, who are looking for that advice and they're not really sure where to start. So I can understand how that could be could be a draw, but it can be a bit overwhelming when you're just getting started. So very important to do your own research, know what you're looking for, knowing what you want to invest in, and understand your risk tolerance as well. I think that's a big part of investing. We have been in a pretty good bull market for some time now, and so the markets are quite frothy, and I would say that it seems like everything can always go up, but there is always a risk of the downside as well, so you have to be willing to take on that risk. All right, so I think we've got our first question that's coming in. Somebody is saying that they're having some trouble getting registered for the Biggest Winner. Can someone help, please? Okay, so we're going to talk about the BetaPro Biggest Winner competition. This has been running now. It's in its 14th year, and it has been very successful. A lot of a great opportunity for people to learn how to start investing if you're not comfortable, but also compete with other Canadians. The prizes are massive this year. We have weekly $1,000 prize winners. We also have a grand prize at the end of the 6 weeks. $20,000.
Wow.
Second place is $10,000, and the third place is $5,000. So this year we actually partnered with Webull Canada, and the key to registering for this competition is to actually download the Webull Canada app first. And we suggest turning off your VPN. That seems to hinder some people from registering, so do that. Once you've downloaded it, you can then go to BetaPro Biggest Winner and you can register there. So that should help you. So the contest runs from September 15th until October 24th. It did start this Monday, but obviously with the weekly prizes, it's very easy to accumulate your growth. You can start at any time, I would say right up until the last week of the competition to enter to win. So actually, while we're on that question, so how much, we have another question that's just come through. How much do you think seeing an influencer's portfolio, as shown on Blossom, motivates other investors to mimic those holdings, and why? Okay, so we're going to switch gears for a second, because I think this is a question around the influencers who are also participating in this contest and did with us last year. Why don't you tell us about your experience then first, and then we can maybe talk about Blossom app?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Yeah. So I love this contest because it's for any one who wants to dip their toes into traders. As you guys can see from my Blossom portfolio, I'm not a big trader. I've never been a big day trader, and I don't really know what I'm doing, transparently. So I think paper trading contests like this are kind of a fun way to dip your toes in. Obviously, as many of you know, Shay, the Humble Trader, and some of these others, I see what they're doing, and it's very interesting to me. And so, I did it last year. I'm doing it again this year. My strategy around it, I think, with paper trading competitions like this, since the prize is around having the highest return, it's sort of a different ball game than actually the dynamics of investing in the stock market. Because when you're investing in the stock market, you want to make sure you're diversified. You want to make sure you have risk tolerance in mind. For this, there's really no downside. So even if your portfolio crashes, it's paper money.
It's paper.
So I want to maximize, in my strategy, I want to maximize for the most volatility. And so that's where I've picked up some crypto ETFs. I've picked up some of the BetaPro triple leverage ETFs, which aren't strategies I'd normally pursue in my personal investing, but it speaks to the volatility. So if you are a trader who values that volatility, they're good products because they can have those really big swings. But I think the winners almost always are people who are actually properly day trading.
Right.
So I think it'll be a bit hard for me to compete, since I unfortunately, it's very time consuming to day trade, as I know from Shay, the Humble Trader. So it's a bit tough.
It can be. And that's also what makes it, I think, fun. Gives people an opportunity to try something they normally wouldn't do in their investment portfolio and really see the reaction to how leverage products could work. We did have, within the BetaPro suite, we actually have launched 10 triples this year, which is fantastic. NASDAQ is perhaps the most popular. We actually tomorrow will be launching 3 more BetaPro products, which is exciting. We have 3 times Russell 2000 up and down, as well as QQI NASDAQ 100 Daily Inverse ETF, which is making us the largest range of ways to trade the NASDAQ 100 in Canada. So that's a big win for us.
Nice.
But the reason I like QQI, you talk about hedging, and this is a great way for traders who have long exposure to many of the tech giants within the index. So that great opportunity there. I think that question, when I reflect now a little bit more after we were talking about the BetaPro Biggest Winner contest, is also around the Blossom investor platform. And if we just want to switch gears for a second and think about what is happening on the Blossom platform for those who might not be familiar with it, maybe you can give a quick rundown of what it is and how investors could potentially be influenced from the influencers that are on there.
Yeah, no, I think this is a really good question, and it speaks to around some of the motivation around creating Blossom. So for those of you who don't know, Blossom is a social network for investing, and users actually link their brokerage accounts and share what they're investing in. So you can see what I'm investing in and exactly what's in my portfolio. We've always been very clear that we are not a copy trading platform, and that we as founders in general do not believe in copy trading. So generally, when there's social investing platforms, they become copy trading platforms, and it's I'm just going to blindly follow everything that this person is doing. The reason we don't really believe in that as a strategy is because, as we spoke to earlier, every person has different goals. They have different risk tolerance. They have every person's investing style should be different and tailored to their own individual situation. So the reason that we think Blossom is really valuable in that journey is it adds a lot of transparency, so you can see what other people are doing. So you can obviously see what I'm doing, what Brandon Beavis is doing, but in our posts and in the way we communicate it, it's not, hey, don't follow everything that I'm doing. I'm a 28-year-old investor with a fairly long-term horizon. If you're someone with a 5-year time horizon or 3-year time horizon, you should be doing something completely different. But Blossom is cool in that you can see a variation of what a lot of people are doing and get inspiration from that. But definitely Blossom was never built to be a copy trading platform, and B, I don't think it's a good strategy personally.
And it's, we've obviously seen the rise of the do-it-yourself investor for a few years now, and I would say it's we are hitting quite the stride in terms of Canadians really taking their own investment futures into their hands.
Yeah.
The value of advice is really important. Obviously, that's still something that we can see being important. Education, I will say within the BetaPro Biggest Winner, we do have an education platform as well. So there's videos, there's content, things that you can read so that you can get a better understanding of the risks that you're taking and how you might want to invest. So I can't stress enough how important it is to do your own education first before investing. But it is great to see a platform like Blossom come to life, because speaking from experience, I can say 20 years ago, it was very difficult to understand how to even structure a portfolio. So just even being able to see in real time how other investors might be approaching investing is a massive value add. Would you say, when did the Blossom app launch? Was it? It
was in so we started the company, incorporated in May of 2021, and then I think we launched in early 2022, like January 2022, I believe.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking that is I think that there seems to be more conversations, this is just something I've observed, and transparency around how people are investing, how much salaries are, et cetera.
Yeah.
Do you think something like this would have been successful 10 years ago, or do you think this is more of a trend that's happening now?
That's a very good question, and honestly, Stephanie, I think no, because when we started Blossom, we got so much criticism, and so whenever you start a company, right, startup, you go out and you pitch investors. In general, the investors are much older than me or Nika or the other co-founders. The reaction we got from all of them is no one's going to want to share what they're investing in. No one's going to want to link their brokerage. This is a terrible idea. And for them, that was true of their generation.
Right.
But for the Gen Z and millennial generation, that's not true. So it's like I think the reason Blossom is so successful is because we saw that generational trend and we acted on it when a lot of the investors and the people with money, the people with capital didn't. And it was a bit of an uphill battle to, I mean, as you guys know, we closed the equity crowdfunding round. We raised $2 million in 6 hours.
Congrats.
Thanks to many folks in the community. But in the early days when we were starting, it was a struggle to get a 10K check here, a 50K check here. It was a big struggle. And thank you to the few that I remember our first $200,000 round that we raised. It was fighting tooth and nail for every dollar, and we did have some people believe in us. There has been a generational shift, and I think a lot of the success was Blossom as we saw that and we acted on it, and we didn't listen when people said no one's going to want to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's just a trend that's going to continue. So kudos to you. All right, so we have another question that's come in for someone who's joining the Biggest Winner. Oh, the question there we go, disappeared. For someone who is joining the Biggest Winner for the first time, what's your piece of advice for climbing the leaderboard? Wow. I don't know. So it feels like insider tips here.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've already hinted at some of it. I think that leverage is perhaps an opportunity to explore in this competition. This is a great opportunity to actually measure and see how leverage can work in your own portfolio. So that would be my advice. You were talking earlier when we first joined about some of the success that you had in your trading last year. So I don't know if there's any inside tips that you might want to suggest for climbing that leaderboard.
My thinking in general is just around maximizing volatility, which again is not something I would do in my normal portfolio because I don't want a highly volatile portfolio. But for the Biggest Winner, if you're looking at winning a week, which is being the highest performer of the week, if you have the maximum volatility, you're either going to be one of the best performers or one of the worst performers. Right. And in this case, it doesn't matter if you're the worst performer. It just matters if you are or not the best. So that's why I've basically went through the list and chose what I thought were the most volatile. So one of them is I can't remember the ticker, but the NASDAQ 100 triple leveraged. I would say you either pick a bearish or bullish position and then go really heavy into that, or I think take the tack of actually trying to learn day trading and understanding day trading. There's lots of great resources, I'm sure, on your guys' website. check out like creators like Humble Trader to understand how they sort of do those trading. I know Webull has like a lot of really good tools for that. Again, that's going to be more time consuming, but the prize is 20 grand. So it's, I think the winner probably should be someone who puts a bit of work in.
Yeah.
Would be my take on that.
Well, and I was also going to say too, I've got some of the dates here that are coming up because key catalysts really for day trading tend to be economic data releases. So just taking a look here, we've got, well, today was the Bank of Canada rate cut. So that, Canadian equities tend to benefit from that. It tends to reduce the yield on fixed income. But some of the dates that we have here coming up, the Fed rate change is, the US one is today as well. It's the 17th. I don't know what time that's at. GDP monthly report for Canada is coming out September 26th, and then in October we have CPI and inflation for the US on October 15th. So definitely those are some key dates to keep in mind, and you can make some of those hedged bets on those certain sectors within some of the leveraged products. So those could be some tips as well that I would take away. Plus, I think you have to have a very competitive nature. Like you want to beat your friends, right? Like I mean, that's really what it is at the end of the day.
Exactly.
It's to have fun, really explore how to trade, and have a good time.
The bank rate cuts are interesting. I know we had that in the description that we were going to talk about that a little bit. Mm-hmm. I watched a really good video from Richard Coffin, the Plain Bagel, who's going to be one of the keynotes at our conference, and he broke down like all of the data on the impact of rate cuts that they had on the market in the like since 1980, and to your point, it's very good for day traders because basically what he broke down was on the day of it, there was like if there was a rate cut, I think the average boost was like 1.3%, but then the actual long-term effect of it wasn't actually that significant. So because most people the common thinking is that as the rate cuts reduced, obviously it makes fixed income less attractive, so you're going to get less return from like GICs or like bonds, so it makes stocks more attractive. It lowers like the cost of borrowing, all these different things that prop stocks up. But in the dynamics of the market, if they're already expecting a rate cut, a lot of that is already sort of priced in. So the day where they say, okay, the rate is actually going to get cut, it reduces the uncertainty and gives it a quick boost. But the long tail or like the long-term effects, the next month or 6 months, Richard breaks down that like, well, a lot of that's probably already priced in because it's like we knew a rate. It's not like this was a big surprise that the rate was coming, right?
Right, exactly. So, no, that makes sense. And I was just reading, we were discussing this morning actually about when the US markets are closed and the Canadian markets are open on different holidays. There is a little boost that might happen there as well. So it is very important to think about all these things that happen within the markets, and of course us being so close to the US, how it impacts the Canadian market as well. All right, so I think we have another question that's come in. What's one misconception about investing that you see most often in the Canadian market today? What's one misconception about investing? Do you want to take that one first? I have to think about this.
Yeah, I can. Well, the thing that jumps out to me about that question, so maybe I'm taking this in a little bit of a different direction, but is in the Canadian market, I think one of the interesting things, and I know obviously you guys are partnered with the TSX on the competition, there is kind of a misconception from my perspective that like the TSX or the Canadian markets like have like really poor returns, I think, in comparison. And like this year, if you look at the TSX index, I think it's actually outperformed.
That's right.
I know we're also partnered with the TSX 30, and if you look at some of the returns on some of the top 30 companies, there's lots of opportunities actually in the Canadian market. You look at the bank earnings that just happened, the banks all like crushed earnings. It was like a really, really good earnings reports across the board. I think with the exception of one bank, I can't remember which one it was, but in general, it was like very interesting. And I think a lot of investors do have like a home turf bias where they overinvest in Canadian markets, but then there's some that just like write off the Canadian market entirely. And I think it's, based on what I've seen and like, and written about in the Weekly Buzz, it's the Canadian markets have been doing like quite well actually, especially in light of the tariffs.
Exactly, it has been. I'm thinking around like misconceptions around investing that would be more focused around like understanding what you need in order to be successful as an investor. I think there is a misconception that you need to be actively trading all the time, that you need to be on the markets all the time and understand what's going on. You do need to know what's going on and understand what you're investing for. But I would say not to put too much pressure on yourself, and that as long as you know what you're investing for, you can sometimes set it and forget it. One of the product suites that I think of that's very easy to do this is through our Global X asset allocation products. They're already done for you investing products where you can just discover what your risk tolerance level would be and how much equity versus fixed income you're looking at and allocate there. So very simple and easy to be invested if you're not really looking to manage a portfolio on a day-to-day basis. So there are investment solutions out there.
Building on that, actually, I think like even coming from my background, like a common misconception I saw like with my parents. So I think you met actually at the Vancouver event. Growing up, they had from my perspective, like the misconception that investing only like a few people like who are comfortable with really high risk should be investing. So they didn't touch investing like at all. And I think they still don't to a large extent. And that was because when my mom was younger, she did like a bunch of day trading, dipped her toes in the market and saw like the volatility with that. But to your point, there's a lot of different investing styles. And so like if you are sort of, buying an asset allocation ETF, you have like a long time horizon, like 20 years, 30 years. Like if you look up like even just S&P 500, like average returns over like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And there's one, I can't remember the site, but if you look up like probability of the S&P 500 losing money over like X periods, and then you just look at the stats, like as you lengthen the period, like 10 year, 20 year, longer, the probability becomes like very low that like over that long of a time period, you'll lose out if you're buying a broad market index.
And staying invested, not taking out and putting back in. So I think that's another key factor to investing for the long term. And also fees matter. It's very important to consider fees when you're investing because there's the compounding effect of that as well. So I think
there's a lot of misconceptions.
There is a lot of misconceptions, actually. Okay, so we're going to head on to the next question. Given the growing role of social media in shaping investor sentiment, how does your marketing team approach building trust and differentiation for, I have to keep going down.
For investors?
For investors? There's more. Differentiation for ETFs in an environment where narratives can sometimes outweigh fundamentals. So the top part was really around how do we approach building trust and differentiation. Trust, it's very important to really have an insight into the products that you're investing in. So we have on the Global X shelf over 150 ETFs that have been, obviously we're reviewing them all the time. They're fantastic products for the Canadian investor, but the role of social media has obviously grown over time as well as the direct investor. So it is important to, as we're doing our due diligence, making sure that we're not misleading investors in any way. The people that we are partnering with or work with across social media know that we're providing education first. I think that's the most important element to it. And so I think it's about being completely transparent with the investor at the end of the day through social media to ensure that we're not misleading investors and they know what it is that they're buying. And that's actually one of the reasons that we have the BetaPro Biggest Winner competition is because this gives Canadians the opportunity to really explore how to invest in a risk-free environment. And the education is there. They can actually compete with those that they are seeing on social media in real time on Leaderboard, so that's exciting as well. And we will be highlighting that in social media too. So it is, I think social media is a great platform actually to start sharing more about investing, as seen through the Blossom app. But it is a great opportunity to connect as well with investors. So we're always there. We work closely with you. Well,
the one thing I'll add is I remember us having a conversation where you were talking about the BetaPro products and from like a marketing perspective, being cautious around like where you're marketing those. And so I think like your guys' approach with doing this sort of paper trading competition, so like people can learn about it without, really taking on the risk because they're paper trading at the end of the day. Versus like if you're doing like hard push advertising of like, you should buy BetaPro, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you guys know that those products aren't for everyone. And so it's, people can learn about them in a safe environment. And then if they are like that style of investor, they're like a really good product for them rather than just, I think to the question's point, like just pushing products that are not relevant to like say a beginner investor or like someone who's just getting started, right?
Well, that's true. Okay. Do you want to read the next question?
Yeah, sure, I can read it. So from Compote, I know all these are like anonymous Reddit usernames. So. But when you're on Blossom, how do you figure out which people are actually worth following and who's good to follow suit with? Also, are there any tips for someone like me just starting out with investing and really doesn't know where to begin? Yeah, so that's a really good question. So actually, this question, as we're building Blossom, we noticed that I think like around 60% of the folks coming onto the platform were beginners. So that's why we built actually like the Learn portal on the app. So we have like a lot of sort of basic, like the fundamentals of investing, like Investing 101. So I'd recommend starting there. And then we also have the Learn and Earn part of the app where you can actually like earn money to learn about, products
Love
like the
Learn and
Global
Earn.
X.
Fantastic.
So a little plug there. But in general, I think like that plus maybe like watching some creators, like doing some research on your own will build you like the base knowledge. And that should actually help you understand, like you should be able to build the basic knowledge on your own to kind of screen creators both on social media like Instagram or TikTok or Blossom. So you kind of have a gut check of their investing style. You understand the terms that they're saying. As far as like who on Blossom, I think in general, like we've tried to build Blossom to be like a town square. So the Blossom as a platform isn't saying, oh, you should follow this type of investor, that type of investor. There's a mini war going on right now on Blossom between the covered call investors and the growth investors. And so depending on your strategy, you'll see that some people are saying, this is my strategy, this is the way to do it. Other people say, this is my strategy, this is the way to do it. I think it's really around like not just following one voice, but viewing Blossom as a place where you can hear the variation of voices, you can hear the variety of voices, and then use that to understand the different perspectives, and then form your own perspective. I don't think as a beginner you should ever be like finding someone and following what they're doing. You should be finding someone, seeing what are they doing, what elements of that can I learn from and apply to building my own strategy rather than copying. And I think the fact that you can look at a growth investor, what they're saying, look at a covered call investor, look what they're saying, can give you that like variety to really build your own strategy.
Agree. And just a reminder for everybody watching, not financial advice.
Yeah.
So if you do have any more questions, though, please be sure to pop them in the link below. We would love to hear from you. I see that there's more that are coming through right now. The link is go.globalx.ca/AMA. So be sure to put your questions there, and we will keep going. I think there's another one that's come in from Deep Doctor. Love these names. Should I invest most of the money in Biggest Winner right away, or would it be wiser to save it for the coming weeks? Ooh. Well, because we have, okay, so I'm going to say right off the bat, invest it all. Again, not investment advice. This is a game. This is paper trading competition. But because we do have weekly winners, and as Max and I were saying earlier on, it is important to take advantage of the volatility, the timing, the compounding effects week over week. So I would say with the $100,000 that you're given in this paper trading competition, I think the minimum number, it's $25K per ETF that you can invest in. There's over 1,500 ETFs that you can choose from in the Canadian universe in the paper trading platform. Minimum of 25K or maximum of 25K per ETF. So you could hold 4 ETFs if you wanted for the 100K. But my personal recommendation, not investing advice, would be to look to leverage as much as you can at the get-go. Yeah,
I think the reason is because like if you're sitting out, like if you have no money invested, your return is going to be 0%, right? And so even if you're bearish on the markets, then you can pick up an ETF that's actually bearish on the markets. And so the markets are, either going up or down, right? So you want to ride that volatility if you're trying to, rise the leaderboard, right? If you just sit out for the whole competition, you're not going to win.
So I hope we answered that question without financial advice.
Yeah.
So we've got another one that's coming in. We actually have a poll.
Oh.
The worst financial advice.
These are like I think some of these are from like TikToks. Have you seen, I think I mentioned Richard Coffin before, but he's done like a bunch of videos where he reviews like the worst financial. I think this first one is racking up 100K in credit card debt and then fleeing the country. That's like actually like a TikTok that someone's made that they've said that you should do that. It seems ridiculous, but it's wild how many likes some of these will get.
Okay, so we don't do that. Okay, yeah. Next one. Keep everything in a high interest savings account because investing in the market is gambling with your money. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even think a high interest savings account will keep up with inflation right now. So I'm not sure about that.
that one is it's kind of like similar to what I was talking about before, of like that common misconception around like the investing. I mean, investing is risky, obviously, but again, it's all around like time horizon. But it's funny actually that even with like the high interest savings account, so I had one of my friends who hadn't gotten into investing. We actually went to high school together. He's he's not investing at all. He's like a strength coach for like the feeder team to the Yankees. So he's done really well. He's been starting to make a lot of money. And I'm talking to him on the phone, catching up, and I find out that he just has like all his money just sitting in like his bank account. And I was like, oh,
I'd be okay if it was in cash. Our ticker is
well, and that's what I said. I literally said, I was like, go and put it in like a high interest saving like ETF, because at least then you're earning, because I explained to him that if you're just holding it flat in the bank account, the bank is taking that money and buying bonds and earning that interest on it and not giving any of it to you, right? So I actually got, I said, well, at the very least, you should be in fixed income.
Advice. Yeah, you should be in fixed income. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so that is a very high interest savings, especially with the big banks. I know with some of them, I think Webull probably has like a decent yield on your cash. I know Wealthsimple does. I know like a bunch of the brokerages are increasingly, but the big banks, like you're earning like nothing on your cash, right? So, yeah.
What are some of the other ones? We've got buying all crypto and meme stocks. Wow. Definitely not
the little known stocks solely because their price is low or declining. That's actually a really good point. Like I've seen that a lot where people will say, I remember in 2021 with crypto, there was this random meme coin and they were like, oh, this is like 0.1 of a cent. If it just goes up to $1, then we'll all be millionaires. And it's like the price is irrelevant of the actual ticker in that sense, because it's all about the market cap. So if it needs to go up from like 0.1 cent to $1, that's still an 100x, regardless of whether it's going from 0.1 to $1 or 1 to 100.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. And was that the rest of the poll questions? I think we're done there. It's interesting to see some of the horrible advice that's out there. So do your own research first and educate yourself before investing. All right, so we have another question that's come in. Can you talk about how investor sentiment actually impacts companies like Blossom or Global X in real life?
Do you want to take that one first? Or?
Investor sentiment actually impacts companies. From Blossom, I'm not sure. Like from a Global X perspective, I'll have to think about that answer. I don't know if you've got anything off the top of your mind from Blossom.
Yeah, I can take it first. I mean, investor sentiment. This is more from like us as like a company. It definitely impacts it a lot. I mean, when we actually went to raise the crowdfunding round, it was right after like the tariffs had been announced, and so the market had just tanked. And I remember the team was like quite worried. We're kicking off like a round or a fundraising round in like essentially like a market downturn. And with any startups, right? Like in 2021, you had really like easy access to capital as a startup. There were lots of VCs. Like the private markets and like the startups are impacted by kind of what's going on with like the public markets. You see the companies like all the AI boom right now. AI startups it's much easier to get funding as an AI startup, and then you see startups adding AI to their story and to their narrative. So I would say that's like a big, as a company, I think it's actually important as the CEO and as the management team to try and like focus on your vision and actually on the fundamentals and not get too swept up in investor sentiment. Because what I see a lot of like founder peers doing is they'll try and tag on AI, they'll try and tag on these buzzwords into their story to try and make it more compelling without actually thinking like, does this solve a real user problem? So that's kind of where I see it. And then it obviously affects the valuation that you can fetch in your rounds and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I guess for Global X would be more around like different, right?
Yeah, investor sentiment that's impacted within market trends, what's happening in the markets itself, and how our ETFs are impacted by that. And it also impacts, I would say, product development, what we think Canadians are looking for that would be beneficial to them in the long run. So investor sentiment does play into that, and we see the trends, in terms of like where people are most interested. I mean, recently, NVIDIA, semiconductors, the AI, like we've seen a lot of action in that area. So it does impact, but we do tend to think longer term as well for solutions. So while something can be happening immediately, we do try to build products that will support Canadians for the long term as well. So, but meeting their needs, right? So opinions matter. We do listen to financial advisors. We do listen to investors and what they're looking for. So it always does inform our decision making. It's probably something you guys really need to have a pulse on ultimately, especially the product teams, right? With the product team is very much involved in that. So yes. Okay, that was a really good question. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Do you want to read Gullible Orange?
Gullible Orange. That's a good one. Oh, I like this one too. Stock Pick Bro is the next one. But which ETFs do you think will be most traded during the competition?
Oh, okay. Well, we did name it after BetaPro Biggest Winner. So I do think that BetaPro products will likely be the ones that are most traded. And in fact, I believe the winners from last year, actually I had it here. It's my Ron Burgundy notes.
Yeah.
Let's see. 20 of the most traded ETFs from 2024.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It was mostly in the 2 times up or down leverage. And with the 10 new 3 times leverage that we've launched, I fully expect those to be a part of the competition this year.
Do you have any idea how many trades the winner placed? Do you remember? Or
you know what? I can get that.
Okay, yeah, yes. I'm very curious.
I can get that. Not a problem. So if...
Because I remember I just bought and held the leverage ETFs, which... and maybe you can speak to it. From my understanding, the products are not built to be bought and held.
No.
Why is that again? Do you know?
Just for the day trading because of the
it resets, right?
It resets at the end of the day.
How does that work, or are you? I know it's more the product team now.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe the product team on the Reddit AMA can answer, because I'm actually curious. I remember someone was trying to explain it to me, and it is like a bit more complicated. Because I remember trying to ask, I was like, okay, if you're really bullish on the S&P 500, and as we were talking about before, the dynamics of like, okay, over the 20-year time horizon, S&P, has historically gone up. It's like, well, why not then just buy like a triple leverage S&P and buy and hold it for like. But then they explained, so if you have a product person, if you're thinking about that, make sure you go on BetaPro or ask a product person, because there's a reason why I think you're not supposed to do that.
You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Yes, they are meant to be daily traded. So you can go onto the BetaPro website, betapro.ca, and we do have some articles that are actually on there that go into depth with, I think we've got graphics, visuals that will explain why you shouldn't be doing it. So
okay, cool. I need to do that too.
Go take a look. It's all there. We do try to make sure that we provide as much information as possible so you can make the right investment choices, especially to have the opportunity to win up to $20,000 in this competition, which is super exciting. But again, none of this is investment advice as we go through these questions. So we're going to hit the next one from Stock Pick Bro. Love it. Where do you see gold going from here after the U.S. Fed cut? Oh gosh, $4,000, or do we see downside from here? And so I don't believe that I can give an opinion on this, but I don't know if you can.
I can't either. And funny enough, like gold is very technical. I wrote a whole Weekly Buzz article breaking down gold, and I remember being surprised that gold, I don't know, to the last like 3 months or so, I think it was like 4 months ago that I wrote that article. When I did, gold had like an incredible previous 12 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to speculate or give advice here.
Yeah.
I do know gold and Bitcoin have both been on quite the tear this year. So do we see downside from here? Hard to answer.
Yeah, you'll have to chat with it, because gold is so much like tied to like the commodity and all those pieces. Like you'll want to. There'll be someone on Blossom or online or somewhere who has like spent hours and hours researching that. Me and Stephanie are not those people.
Well, and I'm thinking as well. I mean, precious metals has been as a whole like quite a juicy area to be talking about this year, because we've seen copper and silver also quite popular as well. So something to consider. But we do have ETFs for all of those.
Yeah, and well, one of my I didn't mention in my intro, but my previous job before Blossom, I worked at McKinsey, which is like one of the leading global consulting firms. And one of my projects was actually working for a private equity firm to understand the dynamics of the lithium market. So I spent like a month doing like a due diligence on like the lithium market. And I remember the insight that I took away from that was it's, at least for lithium and some of these other like copper, some of these other precious metals, it's so tied to like the supply and demand dynamics of the actual resource. And a lot of people I think will oversimplify it in thinking, oh, you know, there's the EV transition, therefore like lithium is gonna go up. But then when you actually break it down, it's like, okay, well, if a lot of more mines are opening, that's gonna like increase the supply. If there's geopolitical tensions. And so these like commodity prices are like very, very complicated. And there's people whose whole job is like understanding the dynamics of commodity traders, right? And like all of these. So I doubt it's not. I think with the market in general, there's some like surface level like understanding that you can have, or like the misconceptions of that. With gold or commodity prices, I think it's like there's an extreme amount of depth that neither of us have, I would say.
But that's where I would say that investing in an ETF will give you exposure to that one entire, you know, so you don't have to pick, say, one copper company or one lithium company. You can have a diverse range within an ETF, so that gives you the opportunity to explore without taking on, you know, a lot, but again, not investing.
Is there
advice.
A gold like BetaPro ETF or a gold?
Well, let's have a look here.
Yeah,
we have
I think there was, if I remember, there was some sort of commodity one.
Yeah, Canadian gold
daily,
HGD, So there is some in there. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next question, which is, what's your top tip for someone joining the Biggest Winner for the first time? Top tip for someone joining for the first time? Well, first, actively invest. So make sure that you build out your portfolio when you get in there. We have mentioned it a couple times. I think some of the BetaPro leveraged products might be, you can make a position either up or down, depending on where you think the markets are. What else would you say? I mean...
Yeah, I think I mentioned at the start around like my strategy is like maximizing volatility. And so I think, in case you missed my earlier answer, like with the trading competition, like again, if your portfolio goes down 80%, in the real world, that's tragic and devastating. In a paper trading competition, it's not the end of the world. So you can maximize volatility without like the downsides that come with it, since it is paper trading. And so I think that's why you guys kind of built the competition, right? Is you can play around and test the different products. And
when you take a step back and you look at, like, say, the NASDAQ or the S&P or the Russell, some of the big ones that we have for BetaPro, you know, if you're looking to, you know, maximize exposure to that certain asset class, that's a great way to do it there. So if you just want to go broad, you can do that as well, and I think you might have some success there too. But it's great to just see how the markets will play out and what that will do to your portfolio. Okay.
I think I'm up. I should check my. I'll check mine
in
while
real
we're waiting
time.
for the next question.
Let's see where he's at. All right. So if you are looking to ask a question, please do go to go.globalx.ca/AMA so that we can answer your questions here.
Oh no, I'm down now.
Oh no.
I was up before we started the AMA, and now I'm down. You can tell everybody.
That is how the competition works.
I'm under. Like the ones I chose is the TCND, the 3X S&P, BTCC, like a Bitcoin ETF, ETHH, Purpose Ether ETF, SOXL, the 3X Semiconductor.
Yes.
Which one am I down on? Oh, it's the 3X NASDAQ one that's hurting me, the TQQQ. Interesting. Okay.
Which could be up tomorrow.
That's true, yeah.
Okay, so just a reminder, so that is how the game is played. I love that you shared your portfolio in real time there. So a reminder to like and subscribe to Global X YouTube channel as well. If you haven't been on there, I do encourage you to check it out. We have lots of educational content. We have recently done a series with some of the analysts from the street, which is fantastic. You can get some insights. Actually, the one that we did with Valerie from RBC, Valerie Grunbaugh, is talking around the difference between gold prices and Bitcoin this year. So
nice.
yeah, you can go and check that one out.
And it's John Ehrlichman hosts it, right?
He hosted that one, yes.
Okay, yeah.
John Ehrlichman is
He's the best, and he will be a speaker at our event.
That's right.
On Sunday. So
yeah, actually, we should talk about that for a second, because that's coming up for us in Toronto. It's being hosted at the Rogers Centre, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's wild. So we did our first one 2 years ago at the Rec Room, which is much smaller than the Rogers Centre, as I think many of you know. And I remember Adrian, Canadian in a t-shirt, the YouTuber, as we were going in, we're looking at the Sky Dome, which is across the street, and he's like, yeah, one day we'll be in the Sky Dome, and we were all like, yeah, Adrian, yeah, right. And then 2 years later, that's where we are.
That's a pretty fast time to get there. I'm looking forward to it. And then next Wednesday, you're hosting the last one in Canada, which is in Montreal.
Yes,
right.
I believe so. Yeah, you sounded confident about that.
I believe. Well, we were in Calgary and Vancouver a few weeks ago, and fantastic turnout to meeting all those investors that were there. It was great to connect and meet them in real time. It was amazing. So in real life,
Global X has the ticker take cocktail, which is really delicious. It's this bright orange Aperol cocktail.
Yes.
I need to pace myself. Last time I had a few too many before hopping up.
Well, because we leverage them. Triple up. The triple up, right? You got to get your money's worth. All right. So we've got what is, let's see. Oh, this question is for you. What's the number one trend that you're seeing on Blossom right now?
That's a great question. I think it's very interesting. So I kind of hinted at it before, but I think it's the rise of the passive income style investing, and really the debate around that. So I'd say the number one discussion topic, and if you look on Blossom right now, I think all of the most viral conversations are sort of around Ben Felix made a video around covered calls. Adriano made a video responding to that, both of whom are speakers at our conference this Sunday. So we may get the boxing ring out and just have it settled in a proper boxing match. But no, it's interesting, and I think the trend is. The trend is that discussion, but I think it's good, and from most of what I've seen, it's been a very respectful conversation between the different investing styles, and I think that's how we all learn and grow, right? Of seeing the different opinions, seeing a different strategy that challenges our own. We don't become better investors by locking ourselves in a basement and never talking to anyone, right? So that's kind of what Blossom is all about, and so I'd say that's the number one trend. As far as the flows, we actually did, I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at our Q1, Q2 ETF flow report, where we actually take the $3 billion in linked assets and look at how it changed quarter to quarter. We saw a big influx of single stock ETFs, which was really interesting. So those have been really taking off. Can you trade single stock ETFs in the Biggest Winner? You can? Okay.
Yes.
And then I think the rise of Open Door has been very interesting conversation as well on Blossom, which is sort of there's some are calling it the next GameStop. Others are saying, actually it's more like the next Palantir with the cult stock. I think John Ehrlichman actually interviewed Eric, the roaring kitty who popped it off. He was outside of Drake's house for 25 days straight trying to get Drake to invest in Open Door. So lots of very interesting trends. So those are some of the ones I'm seeing, I guess.
I would say yields is a trend that we're seeing in Global X. I think people are really looking to the covered call suite in particular for some of those yields, and thematics as well. I think AI has been a really interesting area. We do offer different products in that suite. AIGO, I'm thinking, is one, but I would say those would be some of the trends that we're seeing ourselves. Yeah. So it's interesting because I think yours is more on a social network side, and mine's more from the business side. So difference there. Are
you guys seeing a lot? I've seen a lot on Blossom around with respect to AI. People also looking to utilities. Have you seen a lot of inflows there as well, or?
Yeah, we have certain commodities and areas like that as well. It does tend to fluctuate, I would say, but I think it all depends again on the investor and what they're looking for. So yeah. So the next question that we have here, are there any upcoming market events that you can take advantage of in the Biggest Winner, and how do I sign up? Okay, so the first, actually I'll start with the second one. How do you sign up? So you sign up by downloading the Webull Canada app. You can do that, and we suggest doing it without a VPN just for ease of use, and then you can then go to biggestwinner.ca and you can join the contest there.
You have to register for the contest with the same email that you used for the Webull account, right?
Thank you for mentioning that.
and then like on the Webull app, the easiest way I found to get to the paper trading, which is literally if you just look in like the menu at the bottom right, and then maybe you can't see it, but if you just go to the bottom right menu and then there's like a message tab, Webull has done a good job of like putting like a notice there. So I was able to find it there really easily, and then like there's all these like pop-up messages, and then I just click on that, and then it opens up the winner. So that's how I've been checking mine.
Thanks, Max.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. And then are there any upcoming market events? So some of the upcoming market events that we've been talking about is, any rate cuts that are coming up. I've got them here. We've got, let's see, OPEC releases their report on October 13th. So that's something to also take a look at. Job reports in Canada, October 10th, another thing to look at. And I think a big one will be CPI and inflation rate, October 15th. That's the U.S. Reports that I think would probably have an impact on the contest and your opportunities to play some trades. So definitely look at those.
Yeah. And if you want to stay up to date on the market, subscribe to the Weekly Buzz.
Oh, I like that.
I spend 6 hours of my weekend every week breaking down.
You do a good job on that report. I do
you.
enjoy reading it. So if you're not subscribed, you should.
Yeah, and this last week was about Open Door. That's why I brought it up. That's why I know so much about the Open Door stuff.
All right. Well, Max does his education.
Yeah.
you do learn.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to read the next question?
How did you climb the Biggest Winner leaderboard last year, and what was your strategy this time? So I think that's for me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can you compete, or are you competing?
We cannot. Well,
No.
we
You
can
do just-
internally
yeah.
we can, but externally no.
Yeah. Well, I will say that I think I did a good job in beating the other content creators. But I definitely did not compete with like the actual traders. So I think I think it'll be interesting for you to pull. My guess would be the people who won actually were sort of frequently trading the market. Would be my assumption.
They were, yeah.
Mine was just maximize volatility. I think I read out the ones I picked. I literally just went through the tickers and picked the ones that I thought were like the most volatile. But again, I'm buying and holding triple leverage ETFs, which isn't like really the best strategy. Mm-hmm. But the reason I think I beat the other content creators is they were coming at the competition by actually building like a nice diversified portfolio that they would build, which is like maybe a good strategy for their long-term investing. But when it's like a short-term trading competition, I'm like, I'm not going to buy an S&P 500 ETF. Like you need more volatility if you're going to try and compete. From my perspective, again, not financial advice.
Not
I guess it is a paper trading competition, so I don't think it like.
That's not fun. That might be inside tips on how to potentially win.
Exactly. I don't think I'm commenting on investing strategy. I'm commenting on the paper trading.
Oh, what you can do there. No, those are good tips. I wish I had pulled the data actually, because I think for the first couple of weeks Max was in the lead and doing quite well, and then you just like tanked.
As of today, I didn't know. I guess and I was like, well, I'll have to. It's funny. Like my news knowledge has like basically a 6-day lag, because during the week I'm like working 80 hours a week on Blossom, and then it's like one day on the weekend where I like catch up on all the market news. So when I checked, I'm like, oh, the Nasdaq's down. I'm like, well, I guess I'll find out why that is when I write the Weekly Buzz on Saturday or Sunday.
So you're an anomaly. Yes, you're in a different bucket than a lot of people. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next question, which is, what's the most surprising insight you've learned from the Blossom community this year? Oh, that's a good question.
That is a really good question. What's the most surprising insight I've learned?
I can say that I had a lot of pleasure meeting all of the investors at the events. Insights, there was sharing investing stories, love to find out how people got started in investing, hearing from them like what some of their favorite ETFs were. That was like the people who are there at the Blossom events really are into the investing community, and they really like to have these conversations. So I really enjoyed that personally.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's an insight from the Blossom community, but I would just say that they're a fantastic group. So.
I definitely think that's one of my favorite things is hearing like the different stories. I'm writing my like opening speech for the event, and that's like a big theme that I'm drawing from of like, all of us investing for different reasons, all of us having different goals, and it's cool to see that on Blossom. I'd say the most surprising insight I've learned this year is really around, for me, like a theme with my investing strategy has been like leaning more into getting some international exposure. So I think there were a few posts on Blossom that were highlighting like the PE ratio or the price earnings ratio delta between the S&P 500 market and some of the other international markets. I made a post a few months ago where I shared one of the charts that I had seen from someone else's post where it like sort of compares them. So the S&P has like a very, very high PE ratio right now comparative to previous years. There's some commentators on like Bloomberg and so that are pointing out that like the PE ratio is like close to where it was like before the .com. There's reasons for that. I mean, you look at NVIDIA's earnings that have actually been stellar and superb. So it is like not the same dynamic as you had with like a Cisco or those in the .com, but it still has, for me, made me start saying, okay, maybe I shouldn't be 100% in the US market for me personally. So I've been picking up some more like international exposure ETFs. And that I think directly came from like reading posts on the Blossom community. So that would be the most insight that I've like actioned on, as well as I hinted at utilities. Like I've seen a lot of great posts around like utilities as part of the AI supply chain. And so I picked up some utilities ETFs. I picked up some international ETFs personally, while continuing to, I mean, I'm a long-term investor. Most of my portfolio is still in S&P 500, and then I have some fixed income in the cash ETF as well, as you guys can see on my Blossom.
And just a reminder that everything Max says is not investment advice.
That's my personal portfolio.
That's his personal portfolio, which is also shared on the Blossom app. And I would say that I can't overemphasize the need for diversification. I think to your point, diversifying internationally, Canadians tend to have a home bias, so it is important. It sounds like you've got a lot in the U.S., not so much on the home bias, but it is something to consider. And that's where I was saying like the products like an asset allocation suite for those who are just getting started is typically, that could be a good place for them to start, or they could, similarly glean some insights from the Blossom community as well. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next question, which is what resources can I use to learn about day trading and BetaPro ETFs? So a great resource that you can use is actually on the BetaPro website. We have been actively working to build out the platform this year to ensure that we've got educational content, we've got articles, new videos will be coming shortly. Very important to research first and understand how they work. So from the very, how to get started straight through until, active strategies that you can implement are all there. So definitely encourage you to check it out.
I think we have a BetaPro Learn and Earn as well. Or if not, there's one coming soon again.
You do have a BetaPro Learn and Earn, so you can go to the Blossom app and check that out. So.
Is that a video one or is it a?
It's slides.
Oh, slides? Okay.
Yes.
Well, and then it's like reading the BetaPro blog, but then you also earn money. And it's all your guys' content too.
So definitely check it out. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. Max, honestly, it's been a pleasure having that. I can't believe it's been an hour already. That has flown by. I didn't get to use all of my notes here. But it's been a pleasure having you and talking about everything that's coming up. Very excited for the BetaPro Biggest Winner competition. Excited to see how you actually do this year. Anybody who wants to compete directly with Max, be sure to get on there because you'll see him on the leaderboard. It'll be fun to see how it plays out. And maybe for anybody in Toronto or Montreal in the next week, we will definitely see you there at the Blossom events. Yeah.
And if you're not on Blossom, make sure you check it out. You can see my portfolio, as I mentioned. My username is Max Stocks, which is both my name and my maximum maximum value and returns. No,
Love it.
I just wrote it because it's my name, and then I was like, oh, that actually kind of works, you know?
Okay, well, don't forget to like and subscribe to Global X YouTube channel. We would love to see you there, and also sign up for The Biggest Winner.
Yeah.
Okay.